What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, back with some more boxing. Now, I have to do my latest installment of HBO's 24/7 Episode 2, Manny Pacquiao versus Brandon Bam Bam Rios. Now, I must say, HBO does a hell of a job with the 24/7 series, even with the promotional Cold War and Golden Boy fighters moving to Showtime, Mayweather moving to Showtime. That's one thing that they've definitely kept intact, and has not suffered in the absence of a big boxing entity, which is Golden Boy and Floyd Mayweather. So, props to HBO. It's always compelling. They still make great original series, and 24/7 happens to be one of them. So, I'm really liking the 24/7. I really like how they pace it. I like Liev Schreiber as the narrator. He has an interesting voice and very mysterious. And I really like how they set the tone to these fights. And they just give you certain things. And I think it kind of sets the standard for what the fans want to see. Things like showing other things in the training camp, like Nonito Donaire in the Bam Bam training camp, or showing Marcos Maidana, showing Mikey Garcia fighting, and Brandon Rios watching it with his family at home. These are things that I want to see, just because I like to see multiple sides to a person. Like, I'm very versatile in everything that I do, the music I listen to, the food I eat, everything. So it's good to see the different sides. We know Brandon Rios is a jokester, but they also shed light and shows different sides of him. And same thing with Pacquiao and really everyone that they have on the 24/7. And that's what I really appreciate, really like seeing Brandon Rios at home with his family and still being Brandon Rios, but he shows a different side. They show glimpses of it. He has very cute kids, and I don't know. It looks like they're supportive to him. Again, like him watching the Mikey Garcia fight versus Rocky Roman Martinez, and his reaction, that just seemed genuine, because that's how I watch fights. That's how I get all amped up. And he was like, "Oh shit," when he got knocked down, and he was like, come on, get him, body shot, come on." And he was just really amped up. That's how I get when I watch a lot of sports, when I'm really into it. So I just like to see those candid, genuine moments, and HBO does a great job of capturing it. Another thing I like that HBO did with this is they showed the origin of the relationship between Robert Garcia and Brandon Rios. They said Brandon Rios was invited into the Garcia residence, and he became basically family. Um, Garcia seen him fighting, and he seen potential with Brandon Rios, invited him to live with him, and moved to Oxnard. So Brandon Rios was like, "I'm game. Send me the plane ticket. Let's do this." And the rest is history. So it was good to see the origins. I'm a real big fan of origins. I like to see fucking Wolverine origins, or any origins. I like to see the root and how it all began, how it started. So I thought that was cool how HBO did that. And I also really like how they incorporated the departure of Alex Ariza, or the firing, whatever you want to call it. Manny Pacquiao to me is kind of a puppet in terms of his career, and I'm not even trying to diss him or disrespect him. That's what I view him as. And the reason I say that is because Pacquiao, for being such a big star, I don't see him pulling the strings or really having to say so. I think there's a lot of people on his team that kind of make decisions for him, and he might have the final word, but he's a lot of times he's not really stern. And I don't know if we always get what Pacquiao wants, or if we're getting what Freddie Roach wants, or we're getting what Bob Arum wants. So I'm glad that they talked about Alex Ariza, because I didn't really know who fired him, but I heard it was Freddie Roach. I heard it was Pacquiao. But it looks like, according to Freddie Roach, Pacquiao said um, that you hired him. And then Freddie Roach said, "Okay, well, then I'll fire him," because there's just too much drama having Alex Ariza in the camp. And it was good just to hear both the fighter and trainer talk about it. Freddie Roach was talking about it from his perspective, as well as Pacquiao. Pacquiao was like, probably, and there's a lot of issues in him and Freddy. I don't prefer um my um no quarreling there's a lot of issues with him and Freddie, so I don't prefer quarreling. So he said he didn't want any quarreling or any kind of beef. So the decision was made to get Alex Ariza out of there. And Alex Ariza, as you guys know, went with Brandon Rios and decided to pursue that. It's a business, it's a job. So he picked up the next gig that he can get, and Brandon Rios and Robert Garcia wanted him. So the rest is history. But I like how they at least talked about it. Sometimes in these specials, they skirt around certain issues. So I'm glad that this was discussed. As far as Pacquiao, they show they open up with all of the typhoon in the Philippines, Typhoon Haiyan. Um, they kind of open up with that. It's very sad, and they HBO knows how to put it all together. I guess you could say. Like I said, they started with that, which is obviously sad. Anytime you're dealing with a natural disaster and the loss of human life, and that's where Pacquiao's from. They start off with that tone, but they mix it up. They show some lighthearted moments. They show some tension, some action. It's not just like watching Schindler's List or something where you just feel sad the whole entire way through. Um, but definitely Pacquiao being back in the Philippines was interesting to see. I guess he's never had a training camp all in the Philippines, like his entire training camp. Freddie Roach seems confident. Freddie Roach is really competitive too. I noticed that he was saying he wants to prove that he's better than Robert Garcia as a trainer, and he has the better gym. Pacquiao says that he can hit. He says, I think that probably I can easily hit Brandon Rios in the face. Like he said some shit. Like he feels he can easily hit Brandon Rios in the face. And we're gonna see how Brandon Rios takes his shot. That's the really one of the those are the two questions that I have in this fight. How does Brandon Rios take Pacquiao's punch, and is Pacquiao the same fighter after a knockout? Those are the questions that make this fight intriguing to me and make me really want to find and seek the answer. Um, so Pacquiao said he basically can easily hit him in the face. He says coming up he was poor, so he likes to spend time or take pictures or give money back to the community in the Philippines because he remembers he's not too far removed from that. He still remembers the days where he had no food and he may or may not eat, just living in poverty. So he says that motivates him also to train, which was good. So like I said, HBO does a hell of a job of capturing all of this. Um, he says that's his inspiration. So he was really digging the training in the Philippines because he's being around that poverty and that motivates him because he realizes that's where he came from. So it's good to see Pacquiao never forgot where he came from. He knows where his roots are. He doesn't obviously after making millions of dollars later, that could change a lot of people. So it's good to see Pacquiao still knows where he came from and he really still tries and strives to make a difference. So definitely a good thing for Pacquiao. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I thought it was entertaining. They had all the right elements. They had a little montage of Pacquiao training, showed Brandon Rios in his home life. They showed him joking around, showed him at the gym, a little bit of Robert Garcia, showed Brandon Rios leaving his family, and he says they're not coming, but he's bringing his dad. I thought that was nice that he's bringing his pops to Macau. Um, his pops was one of the early believers, one of the people that believed in him early and got him into boxing back in Kansas. So he wants to repay the favor and celebrate the victory if he should beat Pacquiao in Macau, China. So he's bringing his dad. Um, his family's staying at home. He says he's not worried about it because he's going to keep in contact, and he's had to leave him before, but it's for the greater good. So all in all, like I said, it was just good to see a great mix of things. They balance it very well, which is what I like. And I had time. I had a good time with this episode. So really, let me know what you guys think. What did you see in this episode? The link is in the description. Again, shout out to Sweet Boxing for that link. And I'm really amped up for the fight. That's all I can say. This is going to answer a lot of questions. I do think Brandon Rios is a tough opponent. To a degree, he's one-dimensional, but if you don't train hard, if Pacquiao lost a step, that could pose a problem. Another thing that I haven't really seen in the YouTube boxing community that I've personally noticed, and I have never really heard anyone in the YTBC talk about, is the fact that Brandon Rios has tough skin. Yes, tough skin, SKIN. And what I mean by that, some fighters cut really easily. Like you look at Gabe Rosado, and he's been cut in his last, like probably two or three of his last fights or so. He got cut in the Gennady Golovkin fight. Also got cut in the fight with Peter Quillen. And I'm talking about career, oh not career, fight jeopardizing cuts. Brandon Rios, on the other hand, he doesn't really cut easy. It's like his skin is made as leather. So as far as Brandon Rios is concerned, he's all around a badass, just tough dude. Mentality, the way he could take shots and keep pushing forward. And I've noticed his skin doesn't cut really easily. Like you have other fighters like I said, Gabe Rosado. I think Mike Alvarado might be susceptible to cuts a little bit. Um, but Brandon Rios, I've seen him in some fights, and it looks like his face holds up together pretty well, which could play into this. Another fighter who does a lot, like Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto, when he takes shots, his face swells a lot. You'll see his lips look all big, and his face tends to swell and redden a lot, to the point where that's what the judges see, and they see that, and they're like, "Oh, damn, he's getting fucked up." Um, so Miguel Cotto is another fighter who just tends to swell. Some fighters cut a lot, some fighters swell a lot, based on the wars they've been in or whatever. But Brandon Rios is not really one of those fighters that I see swell up a lot or get cut a lot. So interesting to see if Pacquiao will be able to be the first one to really change that tide and break him down and really break up Brandon Rios' face and pepper him. So I'm anxious to see what that looks like. Let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.